finish that in English dub, or finish that. There we go. We are now live over on YouTube. I just had to change some things around here. So hello to everybody over in the YouTube world. Hopefully you can hear us okay and things are good. But tonight, like I mentioned, our guest is Megan Shipman. We are excited about welcoming her on the show. She is a very talented voice actress and ADR director. This month is a special month for us. This month we are saying goodbye to Blog Talk Radio after, I want to say like about 6 years. Being with Blog Talk, we have decided that we are going to, times are changing, the popularity of certain things are changing, and so we are going to be moving to YouTube solely at the end of the month. And so August 1st show is going to be our first show live on YouTube alone, and we're going to have a different streaming platform. We're going to be going to video, so you get to see my ugly face, and and you get to see me and Darren and any guests that we have on via camera if they wish to be on camera. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be something new. But in honor of doing that, we are doing a special month basically dedicated to the anime Show by Rock. Any fans of the show, and Mario, I am a huge fan of Show by Rock. I love that anime. It is one I think everybody should watch.
Agreed. Also, watch the shorts if you can, because they're really good too, even though they're kind of short.
Oh, yeah.
But the main show is amazing, because the characters are amazing and the songs as well, because the songs are actually dubbed as well. Like, so much love went into that show.
And the music is fantastic. Now, I know when you hear like music-based anime, a lot of people are thinking pop culture. A lot of people are thinking, idol shows like Love Live or K-On! Or Zombieland Saga, things like this. This show is unique in and of itself because the storyline revolves not just about one group. It's more so set on the power of music of all types. It's not just pop music or heavy metal, but you have everything. They include traditional music, they include techno music, they have bands of all types, which is one thing that I think is really, really phenomenal about the series. And after watching Show by Rock Stars, or not Stars, but Show by Rock Mashimaresh in English dub, which was released about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now. I do have some questions to ask Megan about, what it was like to be working on that, and I have to say, after watching that again and rewatching Show by Rock Stars, because I did just binge that in like 2 nights as well. Man, I love this series, and when I did my top 5 of favorite characters from the franchise, Hao-An is still number 1, and Ryu is still number 2.
Good taste. Good taste. Yeah.
And next week, we actually have Ryu is going to be joining us. We have Lindsay Shepard, the English voice actress for Ryu, joining us next week. And of course, the last show on the 25th, our last show on Facebook, or on Blog Talk Radio, is going to be another one of our anime-related specials. Like I said, this is Mashimaresh month. We have a Show by Rock Mashimaresh-related special. And we have an amazing, amazing guest list. Like, Mario, I know you were worried about fanboying a little bit with talking with Megan tonight. I probably will fanboy, considering the fact we have the entire English cast of the band Mashimaresh.
That's going to be big.
And
especially because everybody, that's if everybody can get on, but...
And we have Megan coming back to talk about what it was like to work with these talented young ladies. That's right, we are going to have Emmy Lowe, who voiced Delman, Giovanni Cruz, who was Hikari, or Himiko, I'm sorry. Lindsay Shepard, who was Ryu, and Macy Ann Johnson, who voiced Tawan, are all going to be on with us. And, man, this is just going to be an epic show. I'm so excited about this. I don't think I've been this excited about getting something set up since our New Game special.
Same. And I'm excited to hear it, especially because Lindsay Shepard and Macy Ann Johnson are in the show as well, because I've heard of those two via watching Glefnir and Akudama Drive, and they've been amazing in both shows. If you haven't watched those shows yet, please sit down and watch them. I know Isekai is your thing, but you won't regret it.
And also, I have to say this, and this is no way, shape, or form bad-mouthing anybody else who sings in the entire anime franchise of Shobai Rock, but watching Mashimaresh, and when they first started singing, and we heard Himiko start singing, my wife and I both looked at each other and immediately went to our phones to be like, who is this? Her voice is absolutely amazing. I think she might have the best voice in the franchise of the English dub. And that's just on the English side. Because in Japanese is a whole nother world, and every song is amazing in Japanese. Shobai Rock is one of the probably 20, 30 shows that I have watched in its entirety in Japanese and in English. There are some shows that I watch, I'll start in sub, then when it gets dubbed, I'll switch over or whatnot, or I'll start something in dub and then be like, okay, I'm impatient. I'm just going to finish watching it in sub and things like that. But Shobai Rock, I have seen every episode in Japanese and in English, and the music is unbelievable.
I've actually gone back to the sub of Shobai Rock just for the music, just to see what it was like, and the dub for the song-wise is amazing too, honestly.
Oh, it is. I'm not trying to take anything away from the English side, but it's like, oh my god, I have. It's just really, really difficult to find the English dub songs from the anime
because nobody bought the Blu-ray for it, and they still use the simuldub footage. And back when it was simuldub, I don't think they had the songs yet.
Yeah, I have the Blu-ray of Shobai Rock, so I could hear the songs. And
same.
On Funimation, you can get the uncut version, they call it, which is the full English dub, everything, including the music.
Yep, I can confirm.
So I am so pumped about that. About the fact that is out there. I did start watching Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Season 2.
Season 1 or 2?
Season 2.
Question. How is it so far? Because I've only seen clips of that, right? And it looks good. But
Season
I'm not
2...
sure yet if I should start it.
Have you seen all of Season 1?
Yes. It is one of my favorite animes ever created.
Have you seen Mini Dragon?
What, Kana?
No, Mini Dragon. There was actually a 2-minute short series of 12 episodes.
Okay,
that
so
was
they actually never sat down to watch that because they were short. I was like, at the time I was like, where's the main show? Where is it? So I never actually sat down to watch it, but I might actually go back and watch those shorts.
Basically, it was kind of a nice reintroduction to Kobayashi, and also it was a nice kind of refresher for 2-minute episodes coming back from a long hiatus with the studio itself. So I think it was all in all a good promotional kind of thing in order to hype back up Kyoto Animation's return.
Alright, I'll check it out when I've got time, which should be this week, hopefully.
Well, it only takes you 15 minutes to go through all of them. I'm going to just tell you that right now.
It's like 12 episodes. Okay, I'll do it right now, actually.
Yeah,
well, not right now, but like after the show.
Yeah,
they're 2-minute episodes.
They are very short.
Neat.
And, like I said, they are really good and definitely... I enjoyed. It was nice to get back and watch, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. You see Toru as being Toru, and all of her interestingness, her quirkiness. I can't wait to hear the English dub side of things, to get a lot of the familiar voices from the English side back, and it's awesome to see that Kyoto Animation is coming back so strong with one of the... Like, I don't know all the animes they produce, but this is one of the most well-known and one of the most talked about animes in recent history that came out of Kyoto before the tragic fire. And so I can understand why they came back with a vengeance with Kobayashi Season 2.
Same. And one of the most, well-known animation studios when it comes to, work ethic. Like, people just create what they want to create, and then it becomes greatness.
Oh, yeah. We do want to, did get a little bit of news that came down the pipeline on the convention side of things I wanted to touch on. Bakuretsu-kan announced today that they are going to be holding off until 2022. They are going to work on, planning a grand comeback. As much as it's disappointing to a lot of their fans, including myself and my wife, we can totally understand. With different states getting back to normal at different times, they had to wait until they got clearance from the state of Vermont to know that they could put on an event. And by the time that they were able to find out, okay, everything is starting to come back by this date, you can start focusing on things. After talking with the host hotel, a lot of their connections as guests and things of that nature, they felt that in the best interest of everybody to hold off until 2022 so that they can plan and do things right and not rush the convention and have it be something that is subpar. So I can totally understand that. Like I said, it's sad as an anime fan and somebody who absolutely loves Bakuretsu-kan for this to be holding off until 2022. I totally understand it, and hats off to them for knowing that they want to put on a quality show for their fans, not just rush something together for the sake of having a convention. So I said that came down our newswire earlier today, and I wanted to make sure I touched on that because it's one I've talked about a lot. It's actually the convention that I met my wife at, and we have a lot of fond memories. But going back to the anime side of things, I'm trying to... Crunchyroll is acting up right now, so I'm trying to see all the shows that they have, because there was another newer one that I started watching as well. Oh, Drugstore in Another World. I started watching that one as well.
Okay, so what are your impressions of that one? Because I've not started that one yet, because I don't see anybody talking about it yet. So.
Drugstore,
is it good?
Drugstore in Another World, I've seen one episode, and I won't lie. The only reason that I looked into this, because the title didn't interest me in the least bit. This adorable little, wolf girl thing that is in the picture on the cover of the show, I'm like, okay, this thing it looks adorable. I have to check this out just to see, is this a male, a female, what is this? This can't be the drugstore owner, which, as the storyline goes, she is a werewolf. He found her near death, was able to use his knowledge of herbs and plants to create a potion that saved her life. So she now is devoted to him and calls him master. She can transform from wolf form to human form with the anthropomorphic features with the ears and tail. The building the drugstore is set up in, the caretaker is a ghost who haunts the building and owns the building and works with the drugstore. So, and she is a blonde hair girl. So
okay, you've got my attention.
And in the first episode, he creates potions that everybody is like, oh my god, your potions, not only do they work great, but they taste amazing. And so that people are flocking to his store. He then encounters a man who is running from a woman who is like crazily obsessed. He's not sure what the issue is. He tries to get the pharmacist to help him out. Eventually, after hearing some of the issues that have been going on and seeing the symptoms, he creates a concoction which helps this young couple. So it's the first episode was good enough to keep me interested to see episode 2, and I'm curious to see where it's going to go from here.
Now, I don't know if you've been keeping up with I've been killing slimes for 200 years. What do you think of that show?
Killing slimes for 300 years?
Yes.
That right. Where do I begin with that show? And I apologize if you hear some rolling around in the background. I just bought a new computer desk chair yesterday at a yard sale for $10, and this thing is really comfortable, but it's on wheels, and I just like moved a little bit and it rolled across the floor. So I'm getting used to something new. And but I really enjoyed it, probably more than I should have, because this was a show where they have an interesting concept, meets a cute character, meets more cute characters, and just when you thought the show couldn't get any more cuter, they bring in even more adorable characters, and it just reiterated my love for Dragon Girls.
Right. Oh, also, Beelzebub is best girl. That's all I have to say on that.
We both agree on that.
Yeah, Beelzebub is best girl, but I will say that the Red Dragon is frigging adorable. I would put
She's mom.
I would put the Red
She's
Dragon
the
as waifu material.
That's one I need to finish. I need to watch episode 12 of it. And I was planning on trying to, but with all the excitement that happened beforehand, before the show started, I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, Darren leads a crazy life, and he's definitely always got something buzzing around. So, but we've got to go to our bottom of the hour break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by our guest of honor, Megan Shipman's going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about what it's like to be a director for shows. I've got some questions about, are they back in the recording studio? Are they still doing a lot of recording from home? So stay tuned for more Anime-Zing Radio right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. And welcome back to Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me, as always, in the co-host seat is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
And, of course, we have our special guest co-host, Mario Tanaka, is on the air with us as well.
Hi there.
And, of course, we are excited tonight. We have got an extremely talented voice actress, someone who we have been honored to know for, I think, 7 of her 8 years of voice acting, which congratulations on your 8-year anniversary, which just recently passed. Please welcome Megan Shipman back to the show.
Woo-hoo! Here I am. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, thank you. Well, it was funny because I was actually working that morning this past week, and I was like, on Facebook, it was like, you have a memory from 8 years ago. And I was like, oh, it's time to make the obligatory tweet. Everyone does it, and I must too. I can't let anyone down. And I was actually in a session with somebody, and they were like, ha ha ha, yeah, you do. But God, yeah, it was 8 years. It feels like it's been, like, not that long, but also way longer at the same time. But yeah, it's crazy. And it's also crazy to look at, like, how much, like, workflow has changed and, like, how we do things has changed, and it's just kind of fun to, like, look back and think, like, oh God, that's cool. And then, like, the building in that picture, they don't even have that building anymore. We have a new building, which they're moving to slowly but surely, but the building doesn't even say Funimation anymore, so it's crazy.
It's
right. I saw the picture and I was like, oh no, it's lost its soul. It's so weird seeing without the Funimation sign.
Yes, and for the people that have actually, like, had gone in, I've gone in a few times during COVID, which they set up some no contact, like, literally nobody's in the building other than the actor or, like, and a producer, and who's just, like, opening the door and stuff remotely. But it was eerie and spooky, and I didn't go in there when it was, like, super cleaned out, but the people that went, they posted pictures, and they were like, this is the creepiest this building has ever looked, because it was just empty. Everything was gone, no cubicles, no chairs, no anime posters on the wall. It is just, everything is barren, and it's like, oh God, I'm in a liminal space. I'm gonna get abducted by aliens or something. But yeah, it's crazy to think that, like, because that's actually, I think, the second building that Funimation has been in, and they've been in that building for a long time now. And so now that they've moved again, it's just kind of crazy to think, like, oh God, now there's going to be a brand new building, and all the cool stuff's going to be in a different place. But luckily, the new building is only like 10 minutes away from the old building, so not much is changing in terms of location. But yeah, it is really crazy to look at and be like, oh God, this building is so empty and weird.
And I know that you're going to be coming back, and we're going to have a lot of Show by Rock questions on the 25th when we have our special. But I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you about the show, without the girls, without everybody, because it relates to a lot of the casting, because you directed the show. You said it was your first solo directing. You cast everybody. This is your baby. And what was it like
It is my baby.
What was it like to be like, okay, I have full control of this amazing show?
It was really surreal to be like, because I was assistant directing for Caitlin Glass and, like, Kyle Phillips and a few other people, and at the time, so I'll tell this story now because it's probably easier to tell by myself but I'll tell the shortened version on the Show by Rock show. But while we were on break, I was telling you this show took over a year to make because of COVID. So I was assistant directing for Caitlin and all that stuff, and I was basically working every night at Funimation, doing stuff with Caitlin and them. And at the time, like, literally March hit right before COVID, and it was kind of, shows were changing over, seasons were ending, so we were getting new shows. And I think Caitlin was going to be starting, and this was, of course, before we knew that everything was shutting down. Everything was still going full steam, and Caitlin was getting a couple of new shows. She was getting Fruits Basket was starting back up, I think, and also she was going to be directing Appare Ranman, and so she was, and because she directed the original Show by Rock, and because I've been helping her, she told the producer, she's like, hey, she was like, hey, would you want to direct the show? Because she was like really sweet. She was like, you got this. You could totally do it. And if you have any questions, you can always text me and whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure. So like I cast the show. I went home, and casting it was really fun because it was a tougher puzzle than most shows, I think, because so many people had already been cast in Show by Rock, and because these are all, even though this Mashumairash didn't really have any repeat characters from the first 2 seasons, this was like 3 brand new bands, and there were like maybe a couple of cameos by like Shingon Crimsons and a few other people, but for the most part brand new band. So I couldn't use, and it's all the same universe, so I couldn't use anyone that's already been cast as a band member of any band in the previous show. No matter how small the band is, no matter how small the cameo was, I can't cast that person again because you never know when a band is going to show back up in Show by Rock. So, and then of course, they told me up front, we are going to dub the song. We are planning to dub the song, so keep that in mind. So then I had to have, I have a smaller pool of actors because 1 million people have already been in Show by Rock, and they have to be able to sing, so that cut down the list even more, because some people are like, I don't do singing, and that's perfectly fine. So I was like, okay. So yeah, it was a lot smaller pool of people to work with. I didn't have like hundreds and hundreds of names to look at or send out auditions to, and so I did what I could, and I finally came up with like the best cast that I could put together in my head. And it's one thing to like cast a show, but then to like and then I cast a show and then everything shut down. So that was fun. So then months and months and months and months go by, and finally then November of last year, they're like, all right, we're going to start this up. You ready to go? And I'm like, yeah, cool, ready to go. And we started working on it in November. We finished dubbing it in, I want to say like maybe March-ish. Maybe? No, February. Just kidding. End of January. Sorry, I had to think about it for a second. And then we had to wait on like materials and things for all the songs. So then we came back a few months later. We did the songs, got all of that done, and then it came out, and now it's here, and it has literally taken over a year, but it's finally done, and I'm free. I felt like I was like, I love this show, but also I'm free. I don't have to think about it anymore.
As a
really
diehard,
everybody was really fun working on it, and it was great.
as a diehard fan of Show by Rock, and Megan, you know how much I love the show. You've seen me post about it quite a bit, like especially after Show by Rock Stars had come out. It's like, this show does not get the love it deserves. You people need to watch this show. It is absolutely amazing.
It's a really gorgeous show. It's really gorgeous. Oh, and fun fact, you talked about Show by Rock Stars. This is a funny story. So, a fun little thing, and I don't know if this is going to be in the DVD version or not. I'm not sure what's going in the final version or what's online. I haven't sat down and rewatched the show because I'm pretty sure I could just recite the show from memory at this point. But because we had waited so long, Show by Rock Stars had already started airing towards the end of our almost being done with recording and dubbing the show. And I got really lucky because at the very end of Mashumairash, the last thing that happens is, we see Hoenn, and we see her talk to
Cyan.
What's her name?
Cyan.
Yes. Oh my God, cat girl. Bryn April. And then they do this whole thing where all the band leaders come out and they're like, Show by Rock, Show by Rock, Show by Rock, Show by Rock. And I was like, oh my God, we got to get 20 million people in here to say Show by Rock. And then there is a new character that has never been voiced, and it is, and I can't remember his name, but his name is, he's the lawyer guy, right?
Yeah.
In Silver Rock Stars, you see him in like the first 2 episodes, and I was so lucky, and I'm not going to say who, because I don't know if I'm allowed to yet, but I had to cast that character, and I was like, oh my god, what am I going to do? I don't know what this character looks like. I don't know what his vibe is. Oh my god, I just blind cast, but luckily, everything had taken so long to get done that Silver Rock Stars was already airing, so I got to actually see the character, and then I was like, oh, thank God. So it made it a little bit easier to cast that character. And I won't say who it is because I don't know if it's out. I don't want to like ruin it or anything or like jinx it. But so the person came in, the guy came in, and I was like, hey, you're saying one thing, but like you're gonna be in this other thing. So congratulations. See you in I don't know when. So that was fun. But God, I was like, well, I guess that's one good thing about this show taking a long time to get done, because I could see the character and not have to freak out. So that was fun.
I do want to say, too, as a fan of the series, I thought it was really cool that you brought out a lot of new faces to the world of voice acting, because there were quite a few characters that my wife and I binge-watched the first 6 episodes in one night, and we literally looked at each other on a couple of characters going, who voices them, and had to look it up. I was like, I don't know that name. I think that's a new person. Like, Giovanni Cruz hasn't done a lot of voice acting. She's done more TV appearances. And no offense to anybody in the Show by Rock franchise, but I think she has the most amazing singing voice in the franchise.
Oh, it's absolutely. Oh my gosh. So casting was super fun because I was like, it was a fun story about, I'll tell this one story about Macy, but like, I remember I was looking and I was like, who is going to be Hoenn? I was like, someone has to be Hoenn. And I remember I was just in bed thinking, and I had been assistant directing No Guns Life, and she plays, I think Scarlett is her name in No Guns Life. And I just remember like sitting in bed going like, gosh, who could I be? Who could Hoenn be? Who could Hoenn be? And then like a light bulb went off in my head. I remembered hearing Macy talk, and like do Scarlett, and I was like, oh my god, Macy. And I remember thinking like, I'm pretty sure she does theater, which means she does music theater, which means she can sing. And it was like this. I had to like jump out of bed and like write her name down so I could make sure she was on the email list the next day. And then and Giovanni was so fun. She is so amazing. Her singing voice is just, God, amazing. And when I was looking at Himiko, part of the reason when I was looking at the character of Himiko, I was doing research and I was like, oh my God, like Japan, they gave this character a YouTube channel. Like, her whole thing is she's an amazing vocalist. So I was like, I have to have someone who is an amazing vocalist to be Himiko, because she's going to sing a lot, and they're going to showcase her a lot. And when I saw Giovanni, and I looked her up, and I looked at her website, and on her website, she's like, I sing, and she's like in a cover band, and like she's amazing. And I was just like, and we emailed a little bit back and forth with her audition, and I was like, hey, can you read it like this? And she read something, and I went, yeah, this is going to be great. And Giovanni was amazing, and she's so funny, and we had such a great time. Like, she is hilarious, and I loved working with her. But part of the reason was Himiko had to be such a powerhouse voice, and a big reason I cast Giovanni was because she had such a powerhouse voice, and she could also act and take direction. And it's not on-screen acting, and it's different. So she was learning, she was adjusting, she was figuring things out, and then it was just kind of fun. We were just working together, and it was a good time, and it was super fun. And God, Giovanni is amazing.
So definitely, as a fan of Show by Rock, hats off to you on an amazing job at putting together Show by Rock Mashimaresh.
Great.
Yay! Thank you. Oh my gosh! And finally being able to talk about it was so wonderful, because I was like, I've been watching the show and I've been watching it back, and and reviewing episodes, making sure everything looks good, making sure it's all in place and solid. And gosh, it was like casting a show is fun, but it's also kind of nerve-wracking because you're like, I'm pretty sure this is the cast. Like, I know all these people are perfect for these parts, but then when you hear them all together for the first time, once you kind of review an episode the first time, it was so funny and amazing, and I loved it. I was so excited. Like, everyone sounded great together. I just wanted to like gush about everybody, but I couldn't, and it was like painful. And so when I could finally talk about it, I was like, look at how amazing everybody is. They're beautiful. I love this. And it was fun. Also, shout out to David Wald as the principal. If you've watched the show, he has this one episode, and David just killed it, and he cracked me up. I was rolling laughing while we were recording. When I was watching the episode, I watched the episode like 5 times each, and I was still laughing at David, like after watching the episode 6 times. It was great. He is amazing.
Oh yeah,
that reminds me. Since we've got you here, what was the process of adapting the songs? Like, how long did that take you in between all the dubbing and mixing and all that?
Yeah. So, we already had a few of them adapted, and Caitlin Glass adapted some of the lyrics for some of the songs, and so we had a few of those done, but a lot of them were not done. So when we finally got the go-ahead, like, okay, we're going to start doing the songs, and we had to adapt the rest of them, I adapted a handful of them. I think I did all the Mashu Myresh songs, the remaining ones. I think I did No Problem. Oh gosh, what did I do? I did No Problem, Platform. And I forgot maybe part of Yell in Response. I can't remember. And then I had Amanda Lee, or Amelie. We brought her on board because we had to crank out a bunch of adaptations really fast. I can't remember. So Amanda Lee adapted the lyrics for all of the Raging Signal songs and for the Dokkan Joe Finger songs, which was great because she was like, I'm really good at writing like badass songs, and she's like, and I'm really bad at writing cutesy songs. I was like, well, I'm great at writing cutesy songs, so you take those, I'll take these, it'll be fine. And then we just got it done, and it was really, really, really fast. But sitting down and doing a song, because they're shorter versions, it doesn't take that long. I think the hardest part is making them cohesive, making the lyrics sound like song lyrics, like having a rhyming pattern, or while also having it sound natural in English and not just really like, okay, here's a rough translation, now make it sound like an actual song in English. And I've been doing that just for fun for my own YouTube channel for years and years and years. So it's just a skill that I've kind of grown to have over the years. And so, yeah, that was really fast. We cranked those out, writing them really fast. And then, of course, I had to make scratch tracks, which are basically just, I go in, I sing every single song, every harmony, every part, and I separated it out and made practice tracks or scratch tracks for all of the actors. We sent them out. They got all of them, and we would just tell them, hey, we're going to do this song and maybe this song today, so be ready to do those. And we would just, and it just, man, I think it was almost a month and a half of music stuff. So that alone was a beast. It was a big beast. But we did it.
And I have to say, Yell in Response, I think, is my favorite song in the whole franchise. It used to be Have a Nice Music, the ending song from Show by Rock Season 1, but Yell in Response is just a beautiful song.
It is. I mean, how many times have I gone around my house going, yeah, over and over and over. It's so catchy. And it's really, really cute. And I really got, and again, Giovanni, like, even just episode 1, we get to hear kind of the bridge part of the song. God, Giovanni is just so amazing singing that song. It sounds so good. And I was just like, you're beautiful, Giovanni. I love you. And she was so amazing. I always gush about them. I'm always like, I love all of you, and you sound so cute.
I do have one little critique, but as the show went on, they fit. The voice of Hachin, the squeakiness of his voice at first was like, oh my god, he sounds horrible. And then the more I watched it,
I know.
the more I watch it, I'm like, you know what? That voice fits that character so well. At first, you're like, I hate this, but it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, and he was one of those characters where I was like, what am I going to do? Because, you watch the Japanese and then you're like, okay, well, how big do I want to go with this? How much do we want to keep? And he just has that voice. And Chris Sykes plays Hachin. And, again, super funny sessions because Hachin doesn't say much in comparison to some of the other characters, but everything he says is so freaking funny and stupid. Also, like, all the boys in that show have one collective brain cell, and I really love how stupid they are. And I say stupid with, like, the most love in my heart I could possibly give them. Because I love them, and I love how dumb they are. But, yeah, when I cast Hachin, I was like, I have to keep that, like, texture in his voice, and like, because it's part of his character, and it's part of what kind of makes him a little bit annoying, because he's supposed to be a little bit annoying. I know a lot of people, I saw someone on Twitter was like, they didn't keep his laugh in Japanese or something. Like, he didn't, like, in Japanese, his laugh is like, fa fa fa. But that is so, and I thought about that when we were doing it, and I was like, I think that, because sometimes there are things that are just, like, maybe too Japanese in a, oh, there's my dog, sorry, he's having a moment. But there are some things when you are doing a show where you have to take into consideration, like, okay, how is this going to translate into an adaptation? Is this going to make sense to an English-speaking audience? And, like, in a show like One Piece, where they've been consistent for over 800 episodes, where all the villains just have kooky laughs, that's fine, but I felt like for Show by Rock, because nobody else is that level of comedic that they made Hachin be in the Japanese, I kind of made that decision to be like, you know what, and he would also say, like, fa at the end of sentences that we just couldn't keep because of flap limitations and also just other factors. So I was like, you know what, we're just going to work around it. He sounds the same, and, and I hope it went well, because I know a lot of people were like, why did they not do the laugh? And I was like, because I couldn't, because we had to say the lines, and we had, my dog is just having a cow over there. but yeah, so he is having a moment. But yeah, so a lot of that, I tried to keep him as funny as I could while also keeping him as realistic as I could, because yeah, he is a comedic character by nature. Even out of all of the ridiculous characters in this show, he is one of the more comical ones, so I still wanted to keep him funny and have that, like, this is what makes Hachin Hachin. It's that voice that doesn't sound like a normal person. Like I feel like if I hadn't gone to that level of, like, I have to keep his voice kind of annoying, kind of scratchy, like, I have to keep that quality, people would have been really upset if I didn't, if I made him sound more normal, because then you're really losing who he is if you don't. So, yeah, he was there were a lot of things going on with Hachin, but he was great, and Chris did such a good job, and yeah, Hachin is so annoying at first, but, like, that's the point. Like, I would just look up trivia facts about the boys, and, like, Yasu is supposed to think Hachin is the most annoying person on the planet. And I was like, great, he sounds annoying already. Perfect. Mission accomplished.
On that note, we do have to go to our top of the hour break. When we come back, we're going to have more with Megan Shipman. Of course, our co-hosts Mario and Darren will be still hanging with us. So stay tuned for more Anime-Zing Radio right here on the Block Talk Radio Network.
Woo-hoo.
me in the co-host seat, as always, is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
He's still here, folks. He just has been pretty quiet. And, of course, we have a guest of honor, co-host, Mr. Mario Tanaka is joining us as well.
Hello.
And our guest, we are excited. We have an amazing guest of honor. She has been a friend of the show's for 7 years. And it's been an amazing ride watching her career just blossom from small roles to mainstream roles to being a part of some of the biggest animes in the world to now directing, in my opinion, one of the most underrated animes ever. And that's just my opinion because I'm biased. But please welcome Megan Shipman back to the show.
I know, it is crazy. It is, you're like, she's been with the show, and I want to say forever. For all time.
Because I remember when we first had you on, it was many moons ago. And I think you had
it was many moons.
What was it, like 4 or 5 roles that you had under your belt?
God, like maybe barely. I think. Well, and it's funny because I remember I wasn't even like I was still dating my husband. We were just like I was like chilling at his house that night and. Like in his room, I was like, "Yay, I'm gonna hop on the phone and have a conversation." God, I know we've had Data Live. That was like the big one then, because that had just come out. And I know like you and your wife were like big Data Live fans, and that's why you like reached out to me, and I was like, "Yeah." But yeah, so like it was from Data Live back, which isn't a lot because at that point we hadn't moved on to simuldubbing yet, so it was still like. Everything that was coming out would come out very, very slowly.
Actually, I remember talking with you about Senran Kagura as well as Hibari.
Yes, yeah, that was my very first show that I ever did, or had a named role in. I'd done a couple of Walla sessions before that, and then Hibari was like my first named role. I think that's how I found you was from her.
Same.
Yeah,
I found you from Data Live.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I had done Kami at that point because Kami in One Piece was pretty early too. But I don't know if the Railgun movie had come out yet.
I don't remember.
Those were some of like the really early ones. Those were like the really early ones. So I may have only had like a couple of roles for that first show. But yeah, it's God. And now I'm standing in a room in my house that is my room. And there are just so many anime figures and posters on the wall. It's kind of ridiculous. And I'm like, I voiced that one and that one. And it's fun because I love them all.
And it's got to be crazy to see all the figures back. I voiced all these people, and you have fans all over the world that love the work that you've done. Not just, and I want to touch on this because I learned something about you earlier tonight. My wife happened to stumble upon you started doing something with your YouTube channel where you have done some VTubing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's so exciting. That's my thing that I'm doing right now. I'm not streaming yet because I used to stream games like a couple nights a week, and I would play like Kingdom Hearts and just like games that I like to play and that were fun. And then I kind of like stopped. I got a little burnt out because I was just like, it was like I think the equipment I had at the time, it was kind of like pooping out on me. So it was kind of stressful getting it to work. And I was just like, oh, I'll just take a break and whatnot. And it was, so I did that. But then I was like, I also, this is the real reason I'm doing VTubing because I also hated like having to get like, quote, get ready for a stream. Because, like, guy streamers, they could, like, just eat Taco Bell and then turn on their camera and be like, yo, what's up, guys? But, like, I would have to, like, go in the bathroom, put on some makeup, maybe at least wear a decent shirt. So I got so tired of doing that, and I was like, oh, this is such a pain. I just want to play video games. But I wanted to have, like, that aspect of, like, having a camera and talking to people. And recently, I had a friend that had a model, a VTuber model, that she was like, hey, I'm actually going to make a new model and get a new model done that is more personal to me, but I don't want to just like give this away or like not use it. And she was like, and I trust you the most. She's like, do you want to use it? And I was like, actually, yes, I do. And what's funny is I hadn't even thought about doing VTubing, but then she said that, and I was like, actually, yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, like VTubing, there is like a cost, a point of entry involved. Art costs money. So when she was like, you want to use this? I was like, I'm not gonna say no to art. That is free. So I'm really excited because it's gonna give me a way to like do streaming, which is something I want to do, but also not have to have all the hassle of like, I have to get ready and I have to look pretty because girl streamers have to look pretty, which is total BS, but that's a total conversation. But you get my drift. So I'm really excited to do VTubing because I love streaming and I like streaming, and this is going to give me a way to do that. And it's also kind of fun because you get to like play pretend and totally be whatever you want to be. So like that's fun. Like who doesn't like that? So it's, yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm really close. I still don't have like a day where I'm officially going to start streaming. But now that I have most of my assets, I'm going to start maybe doing some low-key test streams just to make sure everything works good and I've got the hang of it and using my new setup that I have. So that's going to happen. And then I will put down an official day of like, this is the day I will start streaming for real. So that's going to be fun.
And
Leanne I'm really excited because
I was going to say, Leanne just messaged me saying that the Japanese clip you did made her question that it was really you because it was that good. She had to read through the comments to see it really was you.
It was me. Because and a lot of people, a lot of my friends were like, I think it was so funny. I had some people message me, they're like, how did you do that? And I was like, because I had done the same thing. My friend is also putting one of those together, and I listened to her audio, and I was like, how did you do that? That's wizardry. How did you make it happen? And I've told a few other people that have asked me what I did, and basically all I did was, there's a translation website called DeepL, and so I went on there, and what's really nice about that website is it gives me, oh hi, my dog is like, please mother, pet me. But that website, you can put in a phrase, and it gives you a couple different ways you can say the phrase. So like, because with that whole little intro video meme type of thing, it's a song, and so you only have a certain amount of time to say a certain phrase. So it's really nice. And then what I did was I took the phrases, I then put them in Google Translate, because what Google Translate does is it will give you a Romanized spelling of the Japanese words. And so then I would listen, repeat, and make sure I could say it convincingly, if that's the way to do it. And then I just went ahead and recorded it, and I was like, yeah, that sounds good, right? And then I was just like, done. Yeah, it was a little bit of prep work, maybe a couple hours of prep work, but it wasn't too bad. So you can do it. Anyone, you can do it. I believe in you.
It was really, really good. I will say that you never cease to amaze us with your talents.
It was amazing.
I think the funniest comment was Michelle Rojas' comment. And I quote tweeted on my normal account, and I was like, VTuber stuff. And then Michelle was like, where's your VTuber? Because I told her about it, and I was like, this is me. And she went, what? And I was like, yeah, that's me. So that was really funny. I enjoyed that conversation.
Like I said, I wanted to touch on that because Leanne had found that probably 4 hours ago. I'm like, wait, I'm going to have to ask her about this because VTubing is something we have thought about. Because she doesn't like being on camera.
For sure.
So if she has any questions, I'll direct her your way.
Yeah. I will say I had it easy. Like I had to pay to get the model rigged, so I paid someone to rig it. The only thing I didn't pay for was just the model and the art itself. That was already done, but I've been paying for everything else. And my friend was like, well, if Ace gets really popular, and I was like, I'll pay you back if she gets really popular. Because I'm I'm just doing it for fun. Like, I'm not trying to make like a living out of VTubing, but just more for fun, because it's just this fun thing. It's a new kind of creative outlet that I think a lot of people are finding, and I do think it's really cool for streaming in general, because I think there are a lot of people that would love to stream and do that kind of thing, but they may be hesitant because maybe they don't like how they look, or they don't want to be judged on how they look, because the internet is a very harsh place. So I think it's this really cool thing that's allowing a ton of people to be creative, and that's why VTubing has kind of exploded in the last year. And plus, when you're spending all your time at home during a pandemic and you have nothing else to do, just make yourself into an anime character and stream your video games. Why not? Like, I got time. We all have time.
And I don't mean to laugh. I just looked over and my wife comes walking into the room carrying a cat in each hand, Haru and Ainz. And thank you so much for the comment when I first posted about our new kitten Ainz with the My Lord. I heard that right in the Mare voice. I'm like, oh, we made the right choice.
Oh my gosh, yes. I saw that cat and I was like, yes! I love him!
And you were probably surprised when we're like, we named this mild-mannered, laid-back cat. Like, Ainz is like the most opposite. When you know anime, you know Ainz Ugun. He is the most opposite of Ainz. This cat is very loving. He was very, like... He looks like he never has a thought in his head.
Really? So you don't have any,
That's
like,
great.
behold my power moments, like, ever?
He tries sometimes, but Haru is over a year old, and Haru can sit on him and, like, squash him. And, of course, my wife said Haru is 13 pounds. Ainz is, like, 3.
Amazing. That's adorable. I love it.
But they got along within the first, like, 3 days. We had them. We were going to keep them separated for a week, so they could get used to the smell of each other and things like that. We picked Ainz up on a Saturday, and by like Monday or Tuesday, we just had the door open and they were just playing, and a couple of hisses back and forth, a quick swat, and Haru's like, "Okay, I like you."
Amazing. I love it. Cats are a mystery to me. I'm a dog kind of gal.
I've always
Never
had
cease
cats.
to be amazed by cats.
Always had cats. The only time in my life that I can remember not having any cats was when I first moved out on my own from my parents' house, and when about month and a half between the span of my cat Lily dying and getting Haru. And Lily died at almost... she passed away at 20 years old. She was almost 21.
Aww. I will say, cats live like what seems like forever. I've heard people like, yeah, my cat was like 30. I'm like, how? They're like, I don't know, they're a cat. Meanwhile, it's like a dog. You're like, I will say, my husband growing up, they had a dog that, oh my gosh, he had to have been almost 20, but he was a really good dog, but he was almost 20, and he was so sweet. That's like the only dog I've ever known that's lived quite that long.
Yeah, it's amazing how
cats,
long.
They're like immortal.
Sometimes they seem that way. That's for sure. Darren, do you have any questions or comments for Megan? You've been really quiet.
I know. I found it hard to get a word in edgewise. But
I know. Once I talk, I never
y'all had
stop.
such a good flow going. You didn't want to interrupt.
So go ahead, Darren.
Can't really jump on any question or anything for being the only one in the group that has not seen any of Show by Rock, so I really haven't had a lot to say.
I'll get you on that soon.
Yeah, we'll convince you tonight.
I told Darren that his homework by the 25th was to at least watch Mashima Resh.
Ooh, okay. We'll put a date on that.
But also with his schedule,
Wow.
it's if he has the time between 2 jobs.
Okay. How about this? You watch 2 episodes a day, or 1 episode a day, because the show is amazing. I've said that like 2 times tonight.
I'll try, because my only issue with it is getting home between 9 and 10 o'clock at night and having to be up at 4 in the morning.
Woo! Lots
Oh,
of
God.
jobs.
So that's
Work is hard.
that's one of my main reasons I hardly have time to keep up on anything else.
That explains a lot.
I feel like everyone has been there at some point in their lives where like, I work so much, I can barely eat. Yeah, I've been there. I've done that before where it's like, I don't have time to watch anything. I don't have time to do anything other than eat and sleep.
Eat, sleep, work, repeat.
Yeah.
I know that... oh, go ahead, Darren.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know that last time you joined us, I think, was for a Christmas special at the end of 2020.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of fun memories. Like, it amazed me when I went through all the old shows that I've done on Blog Talk when I downloaded them, because you have appeared quite a few times, and you've been a part of some of the most memorable shows in the history of AZR, including the Data Live special where Anthony Bowling was a half hour late, and you and Caitlin talked so wonderfully about him when he wasn't here, and then it was the Anthony bashing for like the next
Absolutely.
15 minutes. It was hysterical.
Absolutely. No, I love Anthony. He's so much fun. He did me a solid before COVID, because when Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming out, and I love Kingdom Hearts, like that is my comfort game of all time. And I saw they actually had released Disney pins in the park for Kingdom Hearts. And he was going on a trip to Disneyland. And I was like, dude, if you can find this pin, I will love you forever. And if you get it for me, I will love you forever. And for those of you who don't know, like enamel, there's a whole culture in Disney World, Disneyland, around trading, enamel pin trading. And so that's the whole thing. Just look up Disney pins and you'll fall down a rabbit hole. But he was like super awesome and got me one of the new Kingdom Hearts pins. And I was like, oh, you're the best, man. He was like, you owe me. And I was like, I do. But no, he's super fun. He's super fun. And one of the rare times I actually got to go up to the studio, as I was as I was leaving, he was showing up for something. And I saw him and I was like, are you real? I was like, I haven't seen a human that's not my husband in 6 months. Who are you? And so it was nice to see him, because like I feel like that's the one thing a lot of us miss, is just kind of going into Funimation, like kind of seeing who's there, seeing like, hey, here's so and so and here's this person. And we kind of just miss that, because a lot of times it would just be like, hey, let's just kind of hang out and chit-chat really quick, because I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. And now it's like, I haven't seen you in 300 years. And it's like now it's just forever long since I've seen someone. But yeah, so that is, I was really glad to see him. But yeah, I love razzing on Anthony. It's great.
And for those
I
past
swear,
300
he
years,
seems
she
like
was
one of the
killing
most chill
slimes.
dudes ever.
Yeah, he really is really chill. He is super fun. He really is, like, he's super chill, and that's it. Like, he's chill, he's funny, he's cool. So yeah, he's just a good person. He's a good human.
Speaking of Anthony Bowling, what was it like working on Bofuri? I don't want to get hurt, so that's my defense. That's a long time. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh, that show is so fun. I didn't really know anything about it. I got a text. I remember I was just sitting in bed one night, and of course this was right before the pandemic. I'd been assistant directing, and I hadn't really done any, like, I was assistant directing for so long, and I hadn't really had any, like, roles for a couple seasons, and I was just focused on like assistant directing and, you know, nose to the grind and doing my thing. And I'm sitting in bed, and it might have been like really late December, so I think the show started in January of 2020, and or at least our dub came out in January of 2020, and Natalie Hoover texted me. She's like, hey, I have this show. Would you be down to be the lead girl in the show? And I was like, yeah, sure. I knew nothing about it. And I just kind of Googled it, and I was like, oh, she's cute, you know, adorable. I was like, yeah, sounds good. And then I got really excited because I was like, oh, I haven't had a role in a while. Like, this will be fun. And it was super, super fun. And then I kind of realized, like, oh, as the dub was coming out, I know, like, sometimes we can see kind of the metrics and, like, the interest of, like, you know, how many people are watching this episode, how many people are watching this show as it airs, yada, yada, yada. And it was one of the most popular shows that was being watched that season. And I was just like, oh, people like this show a lot. And so it's kind of one of those rare shows that has a really great, I kind of want to say cult following, because it's not like on Toonami, or it's not like super mainstream like My Hero or anything, but it does have for a show that isn't like on Toonami or anything, it has a really large fan base and people that are really loyal to it, and it's so nice to like see that. And that show is so fun. And you know, and then a few months ago, oh gosh, actually no, not a few months ago. No, yeah, a few months ago, like back in March-ish, April-ish, got to do a sit-down thing with Yen Press, because like I saw them tweet about how they were going to be releasing the manga in English and the light novels, and I did it as a joke. I was like, I like went on Twitter and I like tagged them, and I was like, I'm just going to shoot my shot here, but at Yen Press, if you want to, like, do something with me, I would love to talk about Bofuri more, as the voice of Maple. I would love to talk more about this show. And they were like, actually, yeah, that sounds great. What's your email? And I was like, oh, God, it's happening. So we got to, I was like, I didn't think that would work. Oh, my God, it worked. And so we emailed, and they were like, we have this Q&A that we got answers from the creator Yumi-kan, who wrote Bofuri, and they're like, it's not really like an interview with Yumi-kan. Yumi-kan's already answered the questions, but would you want to come on do a video with us where we just kind of read her responses to the questions asked? And I was like, yeah, that'd be really awesome. And then that happened during the god awful snowmageddon in Texas. So I was like, oh no, like the day of that thing, I was like at my in-laws' house camping out for the week because our house had no heat or water. And so I was like, oh no, I gotta somehow put myself together and do this thing. And that was all of them, but it was great. It was really fun. They were super fun. It all worked out. It was great. And they were super nice, and they were like, we'll send you a copy of Bofuri. And then they like sent like a million other books of things that I've been in, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with all this manga? And now they're just on my shelf. And to be honest, I'll probably, like, once conventions start up again and I like to do, like, giveaways or stuff at my panels sometimes. So since I have them, and I just want them to go to people that will enjoy them, because they're going to sit on my shelf. But I love giving away little goodies, and so I will probably use them as cute little goodies to give away at panels when I go to a con again, eventually. So, yeah.
And I still stand by what I told you before. Next time that we have a pet turtle, we are naming him Syrup.
Please do that.
Thank you. I have dropped so much money on Maple figures in the last 2 weeks. They keep coming out, and I'm like, I need to stop. There's a Nendoroid, and then I bought a 1/8 scale figure of her, and then someone was like, have you seen this plushie of Syrup? And I was like, no. And then I bought the Syrup plushie.
Send me a link for the Syrup plushie, because I think I have a need.
I saw those tweets. Oh, God. I saw those tweets, and I'm like, I gotta tweet this to a friend right away. Because And then I was like, oh, I need to get those too, because I never thought that I would love the show as much as I do, because this was back when I was watching a ton of isekai shows, like one after the other, like in March, and it was like, I'll add like another show to this, and wow.
Oh yeah.
And then in March the dub just died, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, and I've talked about this a little bit with people about like why is this show so like why is this one in particular getting so much love? And I looked at it and I said, you know what? I think the reason it's getting so much love is because it's this cross section of like two genres where you have isekai elements where you get like it's like video game, but like you're not in the real world, you're in a video game world, so it's all kinds of fantasy, like RPG kind of elements that people love to like look at in anime, because you can kind of do whatever you want. It can be this big fantastic adventure, and so you have that aspect, but also it's kind of also cross-section with a slice of life, because nothing in the show is life or death. No one's stuck. No one's gonna die. If you die in the game, you die in real life. It's just like, yeah, things are important. Like they have like a whole event where, you know, it's guild versus guild and da-da-da. But at the same time, it's not like, well, if we lose, we lose. Like, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. But we still want to do well. So it's like, it's kind of this cross-section of slice of life and video game isekai type of genre where it's just comfy. I think is a good word for it. It's like, it's because everyone can relate to it. You're like, oh yeah, man, I've done that. I've done that before. Oh, my dog has a squeaky toy. But yeah, so that's why I told you, I was like, I think that's why it was so popular, is because it was this lovely cross-section of a big, magical video game world, but also things are not like life or death, so you can relax while you watch the show. You don't have to worry that someone's going to die.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so appealing to people, is they can watch it and just, it's comfortable to watch, and you can just relax and chill and just laugh and have a good time with it, while also rooting for them and wanting them to do well and wanting them to win this or win that and da-da-da-da. So I think that's what makes it so fun and why people like it so much.
We're going to pause real quick for a quick show ID. We're not going to take a commercial break because we paid all the bills already. We're just going to finish the show out with, of course, Darren, myself, Mario, and our guest of honor, Megan Shipman. So we'll be right back after this quick show ID.
Hey everyone, Chloe Maxwell here from Luck and Logic, and you're listening to Anime-Zing Radio!
And I have to ask, Megan, is it kind of funny to see, hear a lot of the show IDs that you've done for us? Because I played 3 of them tonight in honor of having you on the show.
I love seeing them. Oh, by the way, I sent you a link to the syrup plushie, so feel free to spread that link around. Share that with Mario and Darren.
Send it to me.
It is adorable. And it's only $30. But yeah, it's fun. It was like when we did, like, after, again, there was that one season recently where it was like, I called it the sequel season of stuff. And it was like, oh, here's Data Life Season 3. And here's Senran Kagura Season 2, or whatever they want to call it now. And it was just like, what? All these, like, things came back, and I was like, oh my god, these are like the voices I did when I started. And I remember going into Senran Kagura, and then of course there's Jerry, and he's like, we're back, and I was like, oh boy, I can't. We're so excited. And it was so funny because they're like, all right, we have a reference for you for Hibari. And I was like, oh god, what is this gonna sound like? Can I even do that still? And they played it, and I was just like, oh my god, I sound like a different human being. I was just like amazed. Like, how did I do that? Because my voice has changed a lot since then, because, you know, you do a lot of roles, you do talking, and I'm a music nerd, and I know that, you know, women, fun fact, women's voices don't actually stop changing until, like, they're in their 30s. But it's not like it's not like a guy's voice changing, it's just very small changes. But yeah, so I was like, oh my god, but yeah, the season of sequels was really fun, and that's what this listening back to those reminds me of, because it's like, oh God, that was so long ago. I've done so many things.
I know it's got to be kind of surreal when you think back to all the roles that you've done, and 8 years worth of voice acting, and it's amazing, like I said earlier, to see how your career has progressed throughout the years. It's amazing that we're still doing this show 7.5 years later, to be able to talk
y'all
with
are
you.
like so dedicated. Yeah, and what's fun is, like, I look back and I'm like, God, I've done so much, and like I have ideas of like where I want to be and what I want to do, and I'm slowly getting closer and closer to doing what I want to do, and like what I see for myself in terms of like long-term goals. And what's crazy is, I don't really have any plans to move to LA. A lot of people move to LA, but I don't. But that's just because I have family here. I lived here. I have a house here now. I'm not moving. I'm not going to up and move anytime soon. But still during the pandemic, looking back even just on the pandemic and being like, oh, I've gotten to like do stuff with LA and like Gundam, which is crazy because Gundam is Gundam, which is nuts. And that's a whole thing. And like being like, oh yeah, I was in this thing on Netflix and it's Gundam. Oh, and I'm in Fire Emblem Heroes, so that was fun. And like it was just crazy, all kinds of like crazy weird things and nutso stuff happening, and I was just like, that is so crazy. So like even during a pandemic, when I thought like, oh, things aren't gonna, I'm probably not gonna do much, it's a pandemic. But honestly, like remote recording, once everyone got a handle on it, everyone was like, all right, well, let's just keep going. And remote recording kind of like blew open doors to a lot of other things, because it widens your pool of people you can have in your shows and your projects. So it's been crazy. It is so nuts.
Funny.
Agreed. Ooh. I didn't expect that.
I'm like,
That reminds me, I should rewatch that show.
I've been sitting here going, I haven't played the bunny soundbite yet this show, and that's like a staple now since I've gotten it.
By the way, if season 2 ever comes, just tell me, please, because season 1 kind of ended on a weird note.
And the show is Demon Lord Retry. The bunny soundbite is from Momo. Kylie Stewart.
That's funny.
Because Darren bugged me for 6 weeks to watch the show. So Darren, Show by Rock is going to be my payback to you. And I watched it. I enjoyed it. Eventually, I got Leanne to watch it, and she got a kick out of the fact that every time Momo would say bunny at the end of a sentence, it was a little different. It wasn't the same every time. And the bunny that stuck out to us was when she was in the bunny suit, like Playboy bunny suit outfit, and she's like, "You guys are perverts, bunny." As like a really disgusted bunny. I'm like, that's the one I need to record and put on the show. So when we had her on the show and I played that for her, she started laughing, and she's like, "I'm so happy you love that."
Oh yeah, it's always the small things that we think, oh God, no one's gonna hear that, but I love doing that. That's probably one of those. Oh, but also have they? Because I know they had season. Isn't there a season 2? Yeah.
No, not yet.
No.
I'm still waiting.
Oh, there's not. Oh.
No.
For Demon Lord Retry?
Nope. And I said this, right? I was watching this with a friend, and I basically said, like, they cannot end the show like this, because they ended, like, on the hot spring episode where, like, where he was wearing the hot spring, and everything was up and running, basically, and then just ended. And I'm like, season 2, when?
Yeah.
Because we need more Angel White.
Yes.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh God. Yes. And also working with
voiced by
Jeremy. Working with Jeremy is always like just fun because it's Jeremy. He's just like, all right, well, we've got your show, Demon Lord, whatever.
Get your high quality Inman anime here. It's free.
Yeah, only high quality Inman anime coming out of booth A with Jeremy Inman. So He's so funny though. He cares, but also at the same time he's like, well, you know what you're doing. It's the anime girl, pink hair. You got this. Whatever. I don't need to tell you what's happening. And I was like, yeah, sure, got it.
And it's funny, like, my wife and I have been talking about, because with conventions coming back, our first convention is going to be in September, Kineticon, huge convention. Jeremy Inman's got one of the guests that's been announced for it. I think they have like 20 plus guests that have been announced, and like 15 of them are anime voice actors. Plus, you have the entire Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle voice actors are going to be there. All 4 of them. It's a huge event, and it's like, okay, well, we want to cosplay, and we kind of laugh because it's like the characters that we like and the cosplay characters that she wants to do are not like the mainstream characters from most of the shows. It's like, I like the sub characters, you know.
Yeah. Well, and God, it's always like the shows that you're like, does anyone else see this? This is great. Anyone else? And you're like, where's my content? I need more.
And I won't lie, one of the cosplays I'm considering doing is like my own version of Delmine.
Oh yes, please. Oh, that'd be so cute. I'd love it. I'd love it so much. Emmy would love it.
I'll tell you, before watching any show by Rock, when we found the English cast list for like the main characters, when I heard it was coming out in dub, I'm like, who did they get for what roles? I don't know that name. I don't know. Emmy Lois Delmine. Yes. I don't even have to hear that to know that was dead on. Because I couldn't see her playing anybody else.
Absolutely, yeah. She was great. And I loved getting to work with Lindsay Shepard. Oh, she's so funny. She was so hilarious. And you know, she's not like, she's done anime and stuff, and she's been doing voiceover for years and years and years. This is the first time I've gotten to like work with her, because her audition was so funny, and I was like, this is gonna be perfect. Because I had probably watched about half the show at that point, so I saw how crazy Ruhuyu was, and I was like, oh my god, like, she's so perfect. And then of course when we do the show, I love the scene where Delmine's like, you could write a book or whatever, and then like Ruhuyu has this whole like fantasy imagination scene where she's like, I wrote a book, now I'm a bestseller, but like everyone in the scene is just Ruhuyu talking to Ruhuyu because it's all in her head, so she plays everybody. And so I love doing that scene with Lindsay, because I was like, you voice everybody in this scene. So put this in your visual reel. This is going to make a great clip. And she did. she was like, would you recommend any, because she got back, she was like, are there any scenes from Mashi Myrish that you think would be good? And I was like, the scene where you voice yourself being everybody. And she was like, oh yeah. I was like, that's the best one. This is crazy. It was great. I love it.
And it's funny that you mentioned Lindsay. Lindsay's going to be our guest next weekend. So next Sunday here on Anime-Zing Radio, we have Lindsay coming on. And then, of course, the 25th is the big Mashi special, where we have everybody coming on to talk an hour and a half of Show by Rock.
It's just going to be nuts. And I'm just going to sit there and go, so everyone was great, and I love them all. And that's all I'm saying.
And Megan's going to make sure she doesn't pull an Anthony and knows where her phone is and not leave it in the car for a half hour.
And I won't go to a party and have like a whole night of just like hanging out.
The party's going to be right here on Anime-Zing Radio with everybody coming on.
Yeah, I am so excited for that. It's going to be really fun. My dog has found a squeaky toy.
I will apologize to our listeners and to you ahead of time. This may be one of the few episodes that I fanboy immensely on.
Oh, it's going to be massive, and I can't wait. I just can't wait to hype everybody up. I'm just going to sit there and go, yeah, everyone was great and amazing, and all I did was pick them. They did all the hard work.
Like, I'll take the credit for finding the talent, but they really did everything themselves.
They did all the hard work.
And
my dog has so I'm sorry if you hear my dog running around incessantly. He loves squeaky toys.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. That's one thing I like about the live show. As you know, Megan, we've done like a completely improv live show since we began. So anything can happen.
Yeah, y'all are like, oh my God, can you stop squeaking that turtle? Give it back.
Leave Syrup
Like,
alone.
no, Mom. No, Mom. I will squeak the turtle.
I sent the Syrup plushie link to my wife, and she says, okay, we're pre-ordering that next week after the rest of the bills are paid. I said, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, okay, well, can we afford 6 of them? Can I buy, is that in the budget?
We need it, and is there a way that we
What's
could get
it
Megan to autograph it when we see you at a con?
Too. I'm really tempted to order a bunch because I bought one from Hot Topic. They have Gentle Criminal and La Brava those Mochibi plushies. They kind of look like I forget the name, but they're just like cute little plushies. And I thought about like maybe ordering like maybe 20 of them and then keeping them in a box. And then when I go to cons again in person, like having them there and like autographing them and selling them with my autograph on them.
Good idea.
Well,
because apparently La Brava's not cool enough for a Funko Pop. I'm just kidding. But she gets a cute plushie, so I'll take it.
Forget Funko. We need the Nendroid stuff because I still have the Alba Nendroid on display, and I couldn't believe that they had a Hifumi one too from New Game.
Oh yeah, I will say the one thing the pandemic did me so dirty with was all the La Brava and Gentle Criminal stuff, because like when I tell you, and I look up merch all the time, and I'm always looking for merch sometimes, and it's like a thing I do. I'm like, does this character have any merch? And there's always merch of whatever character you can possibly think of. But because La Brava and Gentle came out, like those episodes were airing even in Japan, like right as the pandemic hit. So I feel like I got gypped because, you know, everything kind of shut down. Like nothing was getting made. We were just trying to figure out, you know, all right, well, what is the new normal going to look like for now because there's a pandemic? But I feel like La Brava and Gentle got gypped because when I tell you there was no merchandise of those characters made, there was no merchandise. I've seen merchandise for like the most obscure characters. So when I was like, how can you not make anything? Not even a keychain.
I know.
I was like, are you kidding? So yeah, but you know what? It's fine. I got a cute little plushie. I got the manga books, and they're cute, and I love them no matter what. So.
Speaking of La Brava, you did amazing. Those episodes went by so fast.
Yes, they really did. There were only like, I think 6 episodes. That was the whole Gentle Criminal arc was like 6 episodes at the end of season 4. And I was like, yeah, they went by super fast. And I get it, like, I totally get it because Gentle and La Brava aren't meant to be like super evil, I guess, in a sense. They're meant to be it's kind of this more introspective arc where it's a little bit silly, it's a little bit lighter because you just had this whole really heavy villain arc right before that got resolved, lots of heaviness happening. So you get this arc where it's almost like Gentle is a foil for what Deku could have been, or like, you know, lots of like, oh God, like, you know, are they really that bad? Kind of that kind of a thing where you're like, what classifies someone as being evil? Is what they're doing really evil? You know, kind of this whole like questioning like how we label people. And I think a lot of people really like to kind of write off Gentle Criminal and La Brava because maybe they see them as annoying or whatever, or they're not important. But I remember me and John, we got to sit down and do a behind-the-scenes kind of interview talking about Gentle and La Brava, and we talked about how, you know, when you kind of slow down and, like, look at them as characters and kind of who they are, there are a lot of really, like, deep things that come up when discussing Gentle and La Brava. I mean, just La Brava alone is, like, she deals with a lot of like self, like she doesn't like herself. She thinks something is wrong with her. She has no purpose in life, and it like almost drives her like to like the edge of like despair and just like really, really heavy things. And then finding someone that can accept you and like dealing with that, and then also dealing with like social media and like what social media people think of you and how people view you online and like how that can affect you as a person. And like when you slow down and like look at them and kind of have time to breathe and think about them as characters and kind of what they make you think of, there's a lot of stuff to them, and I wish that there was more time to kind of get into what makes them tick and what makes them really, really interesting. But with the time they got, I still think they did a really good job of drawing those like connections from Gentle to Deku and making those kind of parallels of like what's good, what's bad, what even is evil supposed to be, or what is good, why are you good and I'm bad, you know? So it's really interesting when you slow down and look at it, and I think a lot of people kind of write off those characters of, you know, oh, they were just there to be funny and finish out the season or whatever. But I think there's a lot of interesting things to them when you look at them.
It's funny though, because that actually got me thinking, like, it comes to like the superheroes, like they're in the spotlight all the time, but like all the normal folks that just like work get written off essentially, and that's kind of how he ended up the way he is.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of people I feel like really write them off because they're like, they're just silly and whatever. And yeah, they are really silly and funny because they have a lot of funny moments. I personally love when they disguise themselves in like a giant trench coat and glasses. I think that's great. I love that look. But like they also like,
that's a meme.
It's I love it.
That's the new normal, basically.
Yeah, that is the new normal. Gentle was wearing a mask before it was cool. But yeah, it's just, I think it is kind of a shame that, you know, I don't think they had enough time to really like get in, and I don't think they wanted to get too deep into it, but there are a lot of really cool things, like if you just dissect them and their character arc and kind of how Gentle was, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Gentle was interacting with Deku and, you know, making Deku think like, are they bad people? Or like even when Deku, like they arrest Gentle, criminal, and you know Deku's like, God, like he's like, he has this moment where Deku's like, I'm so torn because like I don't know what to do because they're doing something wrong, but also I feel bad for them because I totally understand why they're doing what they're doing. I feel bad, and I understand them to a degree, and I think that is I think it's really interesting also just for Deku's like character development in terms of like being a hero and understanding your enemy and like having that mental conflict of like, oh God, these are people, and some of them are going to have just normal people problems that they might take a step too far, but I totally understand and relate to that problem. So I think it's a really cool arc that when you slow down and kind of dissect what's going on with the characters, it gets really interesting really fast. And I think a lot of people just kind of like, oh, whatever, they're gone, they're in jail now. But yeah, I think it's really interesting, personally.
Now, a question I have. We got about 5 minutes left in the show, which this has flown by so quickly. It always does when we have you on the show. And you were talking about that you collect a lot of figures of the characters that you voiced. What is the craziest figure of a character you voiced that you have?
Oh my gosh. Well, let me go upstairs, back up to my room. I've just been like pacing around my house, and also watching my dog. But gosh, I would say the craziest figure I do have I'm looking. Let's see. Who's the craziest figure? Okay, I have I will say I have Nindroids. I have a lot of Nindroids, which I'm really lucky to be able to voice characters that get Nindroids, because I love them. I think they're the best cute little figures ever. I have it's not a figure, but it's a plushie. I have a plushie of Alba that is in her, from New Game, in her hibernating bag. It's a bear. So I have a plushie of that, and that's super, super cute. I probably also told you about this, but I also have back when I had pre-ordered the Nendoroid for Alba the first time, we had moved, and the Nendoroid got lost in the mail, I think, because I never saw it. And so I was like, man, I'm really bummed because, like, it was sold out. And so I was like, well, I'm going to a few cons. I'm going to look for it. And, of course, but I went to a convention, and I told the story to a fan because they had me autograph their New Game manga. And I told them that, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to look really hard for an Alba Nendoroid, like, at the next two cons that I go to. And then the next day, the same fan brought me this, like, wad of newspaper, and I was like, what is that? Like, I was like, do I want the wad of newspaper? I don't know. But they were super, super sweet, and they had, because, you know, Nendoroids come with different faceplates with different expressions. So they had taken one of their extra faceplates from their Alba Nendoroid, and you can also buy little things to hold your faceplates. And one of them, of course, is like a bear suit. But this person had taken the bear suit, painted it to look like Alba's hibernating bag, put the faceplate in it, and then they gave it to me. And I was like, they were like, I wanted you to have it because, like, I'm not going to use this, because a lot of times you don't use the extra faceplates. And so Bear's like, I'm not going to use it. So, like, here you go. And I, like, cried. I cried because I was just like, that is the sweetest thing anyone has ever given me. And I love her, and I always think about that person because I'm like, you are such a sweet human being, that they gave me that, and I was just so amazed. I was like, you are so nice. So that's one of my, like, it looks like nothing, but, like, it has a lot of sentimental value to me because I'm like, oh, that was so sweet.
Oh, I can totally understand that.
Yeah, and I do have expensive. One of the most expensive figures that I have currently. That's going to change whenever I get my maple.
90 seconds.
Maple figure in December, but I have a model, a 2-scale figure of Hanamaru. That was so expensive. And then I also have a scale model, a figure of Rin from Love Live, but I don't even voice that character, and I own like a bajillion figures of her because she's my best girl. So yeah, I have, those are like my
60 seconds
figures. But yeah, that's gonna change when I get my maple figure because that was gonna put a hole in my wallet, that's for sure. But I'm ready.
That's how I feel about Kineticon.
Yeah, I'm ready. Also, I have the Aripio Nendoroid from it's my favorite pop idol, made it to Budokan. I would die, and I haven't gotten them yet, but the Nendoroid came with light sticks, or pin lights, that you can actually put, they make lights for, like, model figures, and they made these pin lights able to put those lights for model figures that they sell into the pin lights so that her pin lights light up. And so I really want to find those little light bulbs and put them in so I can turn them on and off because I think that's the coolest thing ever.
10 seconds.
We got 10 seconds left. I don't mean to cut you off. We've got to say goodbye to all of our wonderful listeners out there. Thank you, Megan, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Mario, for sitting in the co-host seat. Thank you to Darren.
No problem.
Next week, like I said, we have Lindsay Shepard is going to be joining us. So until then, this has been Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blog Talk